خلق الرياح, creation of the winds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Fatir, and it is Allah who sends the winds so that they raise up the clouds and we drive them to a dead land and revive there with the earth after its death. As such will be the resurrection. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highlights the features of the miracles of the creation, ar-riyah, the winds, and how they are the force behind the lifting and carrying of the clouds. They never tire in their duty, and how they help in carrying the rainwater to dead lands, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revives them, just like He will send a rain on that day and resurrect mankind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once again takes us from a physical, tangible reality to an intangible one. And the cool breeze or the strong wind is something we feel. We feel its breeze as well as its pressure at times, and its temperatures at times cool, at times warm, and sometimes as a hot blast of air. We feel its speed, so we're very, very aware of it, but we can't hold it, we can't capture it, we can't control it. Rather, it is one of the many armies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His servitude, where it helps in impregnating the lands and causing them to pour water on dry land. The same army of winds can help in growth and pollination as they carry the pollen from one plant to another, enhancing vegetation and foliage for all creations, all of which belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hijr, and we send the winds fertilizing to fill heavily the clouds with water, then cause the water rain to descend from the sky, and we gave it to you to drink, and it not you who are the owners of its stores, I to give water to whom you like, or to withhold it from whom you like. Yet the same army of winds under the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be icy, cold and treacherous, or strong and powerful and destructive, all under the azim instructions of its Rabb, who gives it its movement and harkat. So where this tool of Allah can be beneficial and bring rejoice to people, it can also be harsh and bitter, cold, leaving the land barren once again, and bring cities to the ground and cause a disappearance of nations that existed there and thrived there just moments before. Just like the people of Ad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Dhariyat, and in Ad, there is also a sign. When we sent against them the barren wind, it spared nothing that it reached, but blew it into broken spreads of rotten ruins. Hud alayhi salam was sent to the people of Ad. They were pompous, huge in size, and displayed their power with arrogance and tyranny. And Hud alayhi salam was sent to them to direct them back to the worship of one God and back to Tawheed. Allah says in Surah Al-Fajr, أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِعَادٍ إِرَمَ ذَاتِ الْعِمَادِ الَّتِي لَمْ يُخْلَقَ مِثْلُهَا فِي الْبِلَادِ. Have you not seen how your Lord dealt with the people of Ad, of Iram, the men of tall pillars, the like of whom were never created in the lands? Iram is the title of the ancient tribe of Ad. They had extraordinarily physical structure, and as a consequence of their having rejected the Prophet Hud alayhi salam, they were destroyed by a violent wind. Ibn Kathir writes that they were the first people to worship idols after the flood. And their idols were Samud and Hara, it is said. And they continued to build their huge buildings and homes and lofty palaces, and they would build tall monuments of no purpose, just so that it was the tallest in the world, so to speak, just so it will be seen and be prominent, competing to have the tallest and biggest buildings and icons and landmarks. And the people of Ad built and lived as if they would be there forever, as if they would live here forever. They lived as if they had a lot of power and showed arrogance as if no one had more power and authority than them. Hud alayhi salam was sent to them by Allah to correct themselves. They were given a chance. They were sent a messenger. They were shown the way. But what was their response? It was said to them, do you erect on every height a monument having no sound purpose, and take the objects of architecture as if you're going to live forever? And when you seize someone, you seize as tyrants? So fear Allah and obey me, and fear the one who has supported you with what you know. He has supported you with cattle and sons, and with gardens and springs. In fact, I fear for you the punishment of a horrible day. And this in Surah Ash-Shura. It is said about them they used to erect a monument on almost every high hill just to display their power and grandeur. When the thought process negates an akhirah, then this world for such people becomes a playing field to host all desires and let all moral values be ignored. And this is what is being referred to here when we lose ourselves in such glamour and impressive architectures created to be the tallest, the biggest peak, the biggest mall ever, the biggest theme park, and so on and so on. If the intention is to show off, gain status over other countries and nations, and this attitude is being referred to here as a denial that we have to leave this world, as the focus should have been on something else. With the limited time each man comes into this world with, should this have been his priority and the use of his resource? And having after erected these, what goes on within them? Is that beneficial to mankind and pleasing to Allah? Or does it allow for activities of food and beverages and attractions that are bringing the wrath of Allah? But it should be noted that the criticism in this verse is not directed to the buildings themselves. It is in fact directed to the sense of pride and showing off which may come with it, for which they were built, and to the negation of the hereafter that is coming, which led to the belief that the worldly enjoyments are the sole purpose of one's life. And this objective of achieving maximum worldly benefits made them ignore all moral values and prompted them to subject the poor people to their oppression and tyranny. That is why the Quran, after referring to the practice of erecting huge buildings, has concluded the description of their evil practices by saying, "And when you seize someone, you seize as tyrants." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-A'raf, "And they were a people that would follow the ways and beliefs and traditions and customs of their ancestors, saying that because our elders did it, we too will do it, despite it not being a part of pure deen, of oneness of Allah and of pure submission." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-A'raf, they said, "Have you come to us that we should worship Allah alone and give up what our forefathers used to worship? Now bring upon us that scourge with which you threaten us, if you are the one of the truthful." He said, "The punishment and the anger from your Lord have fallen upon you. Do you quarrel with me about mere names that you and your fathers have concocted, and for which Allah has sent down no authority? So wait, I am one of those waiting with you." How many traditions and customs do we see around us? And we see society still caught up in them, and yet we are warned that they can bring the anger of Allah upon the nation.